Hey guys, Hank here from thebusinessoflosingweight.com, and today I'm going to talk to you about how I got started running on the treadmill and how I worked my way up from just sort of walking and jogging to being able to run at least a 5K on the treadmill. The treadmill is a great piece of equipment for getting started doing cardio, and it will quickly help you start shedding those pounds. So this is how I got started using the treadmill. The way I first got started using the treadmill was, well, first I went and bought a treadmill. I just got a Gold's Gym treadmill. I believe it's called the Rosswalk 570. I got it at Walmart. It was pretty cheap, and I was able, with the help of my brother-in-law, to bring it upstairs at my house, and I got it set up, and it sat for probably about 2 or 3 weeks before I first started using it. The way that I first got on the treadmill was I figured I would just start walking on it. You got to remember, I was around 350 pounds when I first got this treadmill. I actually got it before I started this weight loss journey. This was an idea I had probably 2 years ago, that I was going to get in shape and lose weight. I would just come upstairs a couple times a week, and I would just get on it and I would walk. Usually a brisk pace around 3.5 miles per hour, no incline, and I would walk for 30 minutes. And I did that for a while, and life got in the way, and I stopped using the treadmill. One day I woke up and decided that I was going to get serious about losing weight, and thus the business of losing weight was born. And in order to get kick-started on my exercise routine, my moving more routine, I decided to come upstairs and really get serious about learning how to use the treadmill. So here is how we'll get started with week 1. I started with 2 minutes of brisk walking, 3.5 miles per hour. I walked for 2 minutes, watched the little display, and as soon as it hit 2 minutes, I bumped it up to 4.5 miles per hour, and I ran for a minute. Ran. That was about all I could do at the time, was 1 minute. And then I backed it down and walked for a minute. And then I punched it back up and ran for another minute. Ran. And I did that for 30 minutes. Now let's talk about week 2. Okay, so you know what I did during the first week. I walked for 2 minutes, ran for a minute, walked for 2 minutes in 5-minute increments for 30 minutes. And I wasn't burning a whole lot of calories, but at least I was moving. And I did that 3 times a week. So for week 2, I kicked it up a little bit. During that first week, the first day, I pretty much stuck with that formula. 2 minutes at 3.5 miles per hour, a minute at 4.5 miles per hour, and then 2 minutes at 3.5 miles per hour. And I just sort of stuck with that. During that first week, like I said, I may have bumped up that pace a little bit, or maybe I ran for a little longer than a minute. I would just sort of keep pushing myself and pushing myself. So for week 2, what I started doing was I would start out by walking 3.5 miles per hour for 2.5 minutes. And then I would try and run at 4.5 miles per hour for 2.5 minutes. So there's 5 minutes. So I would try and do that. I would do it for 10 minutes, then I would just take like a 30-second, 60-second breather, and then I would do it again for 10 minutes. Take a 30-second to 60-second breather, do it again for 10 minutes. So it was a total of 30 minutes that I was walking for 2.5 minutes, running for 2.5 minutes. Walking for 2.5 minutes, running for 2.5 minutes. And what I started noticing by the end of week 2 is I could feel my stamina growing. I could feel that I was able to push just a little bit further. So let's recap week 2. I walked for 2.5 minutes, ran for 2.5 minutes. Walked for 2.5 minutes, ran for 2.5 minutes. And I did that in 5-minute cycles for 30 minutes, taking a 30-second to 60-second break at each 10-minute interval, all right, which was 2 after the first 10 minutes, after the second 10 minutes. After the third 10 minutes, I was done. One thing that I did not do when I first started that I wish I had known more about was I didn't stretch. Take at least 5 minutes, if not 10. Make sure you stretch out your hamstrings, stretch out your all the muscles in your legs, and do bend over at the waist and touch your toes and try and stretch it out as much as you can. If you were like me and you weigh 300 plus pounds, it's not real easy to bend over and touch your toes, but do it as much as you can and hold it. You'll start feeling it burn in the muscles, and when your muscles are burning, you know that you're stretching them. So make sure you take time to stretch, otherwise you could really hurt yourself. So that is how I got started. That's week 1 and week 2 of Hank's treadmill history. Remember, I am not a professional trainer by any means. I'm just telling you how I got started. The best thing to remember is once you're walking for 2.5 minutes and running for 2.5 minutes, try and push that pace up over the next few weeks. In week 3, try, instead of running at 4.5 miles per hour, try bumping it up to 5. And maybe try running for 3 minutes and walking for 2 minutes. Walking 2, running 3. Walking 2, running 3 for 30 minutes. In week 4, I started pushing it a little harder, and I would go for 45 minutes. I would stretch it out and add 15 minutes to the routine. I could really feel my body craving more. It's that law of diminishing returns. I could feel myself wanting to run harder, run faster, run longer. So in around the end of week 3, pushing into week 4, I started stretching it out to 45 minutes. And so I encourage you, take your time, but remember that if you get to a point where you're comfortable doing that 2.5 minute running, 2.5 minute walking, start finding ways to push your body. Push that incline up some. That's something I didn't talk about. I did use more incline. I would put it at 1% or 2% incline when I was running, and then when I was backed it down and started walking, I would raise the incline to maybe 5 or 6% just to keep that heart rate up. So that's how I got started using the treadmill. I would love it if you had any questions. Please leave them in the comments below, and let me know. I would love a video response letting me know how you guys got started training on the treadmill or training for running. That would be for my friends who are watching this who are already at the point where they're running 5Ks and 10Ks or half marathons or marathons. For those of you who are just starting and just ready to take that first step on the treadmill, if you guys have video capabilities, make a response video and let me know what you think about how I got started, and tell me how you're going to get started. I would really love to hear from you guys and find out exactly where you're at. You can be a marathon runner, you can be just starting out. Leave me a response or a comment below, and I hope you appreciate this video, and make sure to subscribe wherever the button is to subscribe, and I will catch up with you the next time.